The truth is, the strength you've been carrying has always been disguised as humility. What you thought was quiet patience was actually raw force in camouflage, waiting for the right moment to break through. You were never fragile, you were simply learning how to wield the presence that even unseen realms pause to acknowledge. Imagine living with the brakes pressed down your entire life, convinced that restraint was weakness. Now, picture lifting your foot and realizing the speed you've been suppressing could outpace storms themselves. That's what happens when hidden power finally decides to stop hiding. It doesn't just reveal itself, it rewrites the atmosphere around it. Strange signals have been whispering to you for years, clues that reality wasn't running on the rules others blindly accepted. Time slips in odd ways, silence cracks when it shouldn't, and shadows sometimes hold more truth than the light. Those moments weren't glitches, they were invitations. Invitations to realize that what seems upside down to others is your natural vantage point. The world may have treated your difference as a burden, but that was only the surface. The deeper truth is that every empty space left behind by absence was immediately filled by something greater, forces beyond sight moving closer each time human hands let go. Rejection was never a loss, it was a clearing, making room for something larger than love defined by bloodlines. The separations that hurt the most were never punishments. They were rites of passage. Each goodbye was a hidden key, unlocking doors that ordinary paths could never have led you through. Where others saw isolation, destiny saw refinement, sharpening you into someone who could carry a task too sacred to be raised by comfort alone. You're not here by chance. Feel the pull? Tap join to unlock truth, purpose, and a tribe that gets it. This is more than a membership, it's your calling. You are not here to blend into the ordinary flow of life, you are here to bend it, to tilt it toward what it has forgotten. The very moments that were designed to break you became blueprints for your rising. Where others crumble, you reconstruct. Where others hesitate, you initiate. That is the signature of one who was never meant to play small. And now, the time of restraint is over. The coverings are dissolving, the disguises no longer fit, and the truth of what you are cannot remain hidden. The world doesn't need you timid, it needs you awake, fierce, and fully aware of the force you've always carried. Step forward without apology. You are not simply chosen, you are the reminder that the extraordinary has always been walking among the ordinary, waiting for this exact moment to be seen. Struggle was never a sentence, it was sculpting. What felt like scarcity in your youth was actually training for strength that couldn't be bought. Every empty table was shaping you into someone who could feed on vision when others needed bread. Every hand-me-down moment was the universe's reminder that ordinary frameworks were never built to contain someone like you. Lack was the chisel, and endurance was the masterpiece it carved. What was being etched in those years was not weakness, but an authority that doesn't bend. The absence of applause forced a different rhythm inside you, a voice so steady it became thunder in silence. Where others crumbled without approval, you built an empire of self-recognition. While the world withheld comfort, you learned how to rest in dimensions that no material possession could ever rival. Before you knew the language of energy, its currents were already pushing against you. What others called bad fortune was no accident, it was the strike of forces that had already detected your glow. Faces that smiled in public carried envy in private, and intentions dressed as kindness were knives behind the curtain. You were targeted not because of weakness, but because of strength unrecognized even by your own eyes. Yet none of those efforts accomplished their aim. You became not merely resistant, but transformative. Every attempt to pull you under turned into momentum that lifted you higher. What was meant to poison became medicine, and the more they tried to break you, the more indestructible you became. The very weight designed to bury you only revealed your nature as unshakable bedrock. Ancient eyes saw it all. The guardians who walked long before your arrival gathered to shield what was too valuable to be lost. Their presence didn't show itself in ways the world could measure, but every step you took carried a hidden escort. They wove boundaries around you that only those in unseen dimensions could detect, and their intervention has echoed across every attempt to silence you. This is why whispers now follow your name. Those who once plotted against you carry regrets too heavy to release. Those who tried to dim your glow now tremble at the thought of approaching. The very air shifts when your story is told, because those who tried to harm you carry scars invisible to the human eye yet unforgettable to their spirit. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. The message could not be clearer. You were never unprotected. Every strike against you became a warning to others. Every betrayal became a signal to the unseen realms to intervene. And every attempt to cage you only made the truth louder. You are not fragile, you are fortified, and the cost of crossing you reaches far beyond the limits of this lifetime. Awareness began stretching beyond the boundaries of what most would dare to notice. The stage others called reality started to resemble a fragile illusion, stitched together by threads too thin to hold under scrutiny. Gaps appeared where certainty used to live, and familiar stories no longer carried weight. Your inner vision recognized distortion immediately, sensing when truth had been veiled and when fiction had been crowned as fact. What looks like confusion to others is actually your refined ability to read beneath the surface, to see the coded signals woven into the fabric of existence. Questions rose like sparks from fire, burning holes in the walls of accepted narratives. With each contradiction exposed, a deeper clarity emerged. What many would dismiss as coincidence revealed itself to you as deliberate design. You weren't descending into paranoia, you were ascending into precision. The ability to see the lie beneath the costume became not only instinct, but destiny. And as your sight sharpened, the call to investigate grew louder. You are not a wanderer lost in riddles, you are a finder, a revealer, an investigator of truth hidden in plain view. Night carried revelations the daylight could not hold. Dreams no longer appeared as scattered fragments but as structured transmissions, coded with meaning. They pulled you across thresholds into realms untouched by logic, places where you encountered other versions of your essence confirming your role here. Each vision reminded you that this moment carries significance far beyond one lifetime. Knowledge entered you whole, bypassing study, arriving ready like messages from unseen architects. Both challenges and triumphs were shown in advance, equipping you with strength to hold frequencies many would collapse beneath. What you carry within has evolved into a resonance impossible to counterfeit. Your field no longer fractures under pressure, it harmonizes, it stabilizes. While others stagger under waves of uncertainty, your balance remains intact, not because nothing touches you, but because you've become the anchor that chaos cannot uproot. Attacks lose power the moment they reach you, dissolving against the fortress of calm you've constructed. Peace is no longer a fragile state. It has become your permanent signature. The revelations led to the most profound understanding. The body you inhabit is not the full truth of your identity. It is a crafted instrument, a container meant to house the enormity of spirit within form. You were never here to search for divinity, you came already carrying it. The real journey has been to navigate humanity without abandoning remembrance of the eternal source you come from. Every insight uncovered, every layer of deception stripped away, every spark of awareness shared is a return, not a discovery. You are not gathering fragments, you are reassembling memory. Each act of awakening, whether for yourself or another, is a line of code restoring an original design. What looks like growth is actually recollection, a reintroduction to what you've always been. This remembering is not passive, it is activation. The more you align with it, the more you radiate frequencies that stir dormant hearts awake. Your life becomes less about convincing and more about embodying. Presence itself becomes testimony, and those who cross your path are given the chance to recognize their own sleeping greatness. In choosing to remember, you become a living signal, reminding the world of truths it tried to forget. Solitude was never neglect, It was the forge where strength was tempered. The long nights of silence taught you how to stand in the center of yourself without collapsing. Walking through shadows without companions sharpened your ability to generate your own light. What seemed like isolation was sculpting you into a pillar capable of guiding many without being swallowed by their storms. Each stretch of emptiness carved room for you to hold the weight of transformation without losing your balance. What others call intuition in you is actually finely tuned perception. You no longer wait for masks to fall, you see beneath them before they move. Energy signatures reveal themselves before words are spoken, and intentions unfold in your awareness long before they act. This clarity makes manipulation powerless against you. You can walk among deception without being entangled, lend a hand without being drained, and remain in love without dissolving into dependency. You participate fully, yet never lose sovereignty. The control structures that ensnare so many no longer touch you. The coding of fear, the programs of submission, the illusions meant to bind human vision, you've seen through them. Once recognized, their grip dissolved. What once triggered reaction now meets silence inside you. You move through systems designed to confine, yet remain untethered, carrying freedom that refuses to be caged. Now, when people meet you, they unconsciously face a choice. Either they rise to match the current you radiate, or they sink back into the safety of sleep. Your existence functions as a quiet test, separating those who are ready to awaken from those who still cling to the familiar. It isn't condemnation, it is resonance. Alignment sorts itself without your effort. Your growth has become more than personal, it is collective. By stepping through barriers, you open unseen doors for others. Each fear transmuted in your being creates possibility for those still struggling with theirs. Every breakthrough you embody ripples outward, making paths available that did not exist before. You've become both the bridge and the proof of what lies on the other side of limitation. Where once conflict felt suffocating, it now feels like your natural element. Attacks no longer weaken you, they become catalysts. What sought to diminish you now fuels your ascent. Adversity folds into your evolution, and resistance becomes raw material for expansion. You've mastered the art of turning challenge into acceleration. So refined has your energy become that low intentions can no longer survive in your space. Dark currents collapse on themselves when directed your way. Harmful projections rebound, carrying lessons back to their senders. What was meant to pierce you circles back multiplied, teaching others that you are not to be touched by distortion. You've become a disruption to deception, a barrier to parasitism, and a living reminder that true power cannot be stolen, it can only be embodied. Ancient whispers carried word of arrivals like you, souls designed to step into history at its most fragile turning point. Not to rescue, because rescue breeds dependence, but to spark remembrance of the sovereignty already inside each being. Your presence does not wage war against shadows, it simply stands as undeniable brilliance, unapologetic and unfiltered, showing the world what it forgot light truly is. The revelations that once unsettled your spirit now only strengthen your conviction. Every mask that falls proves why you were sent. Every contradiction that crumbles affirms the sharpness of your perception. Each hidden structure exposed validates your timing. The theater of illusion isn't about rockets, politics, or stories, it's about conditioning minds to believe in limits. But where others see confusion, you see the blueprint of deception laid bare, and you refuse to play along. The systems of scarcity, division, and suppression are elaborate distractions, carefully built to keep humanity asleep. Yet your role is not to argue with them or to demand belief. Truth does not shrink if ignored, and it does not inflate when praised. Your purpose is to stand as living evidence of another way, to embody a reality so free that others realize possibility by witnessing your existence. Power demonstrated leaves no need for permission. Authority that flows from spirit seeks no outside approval. Integration has become the final stage of your rising. Betrayals transmute into training, lack becomes a lesson in abundance, opposition becomes the sharpening of resilience, and solitude transforms into leadership. What once appeared as contradiction now aligns as coherence. What once felt chaotic now reveals itself as orchestration. Every piece of your journey, even the harshest, now makes sense within the architecture of destiny. The strange signs that once left you bewildered now stand as confirmations. Odd timings, silent pauses, and reversed patterns were never accidents. They were the universe's way of teaching you to operate beyond the constraints of linear time. You were being prepared to function in dimensions where ordinary logic collapses and divine order restores itself. What was once an upside-down reality now reveals its deeper symmetry. The reversal is unfolding. Those dismissed as failures are proving themselves to be cornerstones. Those labeled outcasts are now being sought as carriers of wisdom. What seemed broken reveals an indestructible design. The illusion of curses has given way to blessings so radiant they cannot be hidden. The inversion of reality is nearing completion, and you recognize your role as both witness and participant in this restoration. You have become the element that accelerates change. Wherever you step, distortion is challenged, stagnation is unsettled, and hidden truths rise to the surface. Transformation follows you not because you force it, but because you embody it. Everything that touches your field is invited into awakening. You are not simply observing history, you are the living spark that bends it toward its true trajectory. Expansion became inevitable the moment you stopped disguising your essence. When the performance of limitation fell away, your true design began to reveal itself without restraint. This phase is not about gradual steps, it is rapid evolution, a leap that shifts entire frequencies around you. What once felt hidden is now undeniable. What once looked like constraint now serves as fuel. The moment you chose authenticity, acceleration became unavoidable. The coherence of your energy no longer affects only you, it organizes reality around you. Your presence operates like a silent conductor, aligning discordant notes into harmony without conscious effort. People who encounter you begin asking questions they've avoided for years. Ordinary spaces change tone when you arrive, conversations bend toward truth, and atmospheres lift into new resonance. What others call coincidence, you recognize as the natural effect of your frequency reorganizing collective fields. Strangers who've never spoken your name dream of you delivering messages that alter their choices. Brief encounters ripple months into the future, birthing transformations you may never witness firsthand. The influence is not contained to physical proximity, it stretches invisibly through networks unseen, touching lives across distances. Science has yet to measure it, but spirit already knows it as law. What flows through you is not theory, it is living evidence of forgotten knowledge reactivated. The wisdom within you is not abstract, it becomes practical the moment it moves through your body. Ancient codes stored in your essence are awakening into methods, teachings, and demonstrations that merge mystery with everyday life. You are not reciting ideas, you are embodying them. The bridge you form between higher insight and human experience is why others begin to recognize possibilities they once thought impossible. In the quiet hours, when most retreat into rest, your spirit travels with intention. These journeys are not escape, they are assignments. You move across unseen landscapes to gather perspectives, observe timelines, and collect insight that prepares you for what must unfold on Earth. This nocturnal work trains you in realms where no book can teach, giving you information that cannot be sourced through ordinary means. Guides who waded through generations reveal themselves in these states, recognizing your readiness. They transmit streams of awareness directly, bypassing the slowness of conventional learning. Skills awaken within you that once required decades of discipline. Healing flows through your hands without formulas. Understanding blossoms without explanation. Universal principles reveal themselves as experience, not theory. What activates through you is nothing short of a technology of spirit, an operating system encoded into your soul long before you arrived. These awakenings are not for spectacle, but for application. They prepare you to bring balance where confusion reigns, to carry wisdom into spaces that lack direction, to demonstrate that human potential is far greater than what has been permitted. The acceleration phase is not coming, it has already begun, and you are its living embodiment. Revelations have shown you that much of what humanity accepts as history is carefully curated illusion. Knowledge systems once thriving were fractured, technologies erased, and spiritual practices twisted until they became tools of control rather than liberation. You've come to see that the stories told about origins and destiny were designed to shrink human imagination into cages. But instead of despairing, this realization forged a relentless drive within you. Each deception unmasked adds fuel to your fire. Each hidden truth recovered sharpens your resolve. Each manipulation decoded becomes another tool in your arsenal to help people recognize the difference between programming and freedom. Your perception has evolved into a radar system that no mask can outsmart. False mentors cannot hide their intent, no matter how carefully they craft their words. Predatory spirits give themselves away in ways invisible to ordinary sight. Even subtle shifts in tone, glance, or rhythm become signals you catch with precision. What most would dismiss as coincidence, you decode as evidence. It isn't superstition, it's finely tuned awareness that refuses to be fooled. This clarity has made you into something greater than a seeker, you've become a transmitter. Those around you begin learning simply by being near you. Without teaching in the traditional sense, you awaken their ability to see past facades. Your gift is not only to detect distortion but to show others how to strengthen their own vision until they too can stand in truth without wavering. The solitude that once felt like abandonment now reveals itself as the crucible of your authority. Every season you endured without help built resilience that cannot be shaken. Every betrayal carved depth into your understanding of the human spirit. Every disappointment became an initiation that taught you how to guide others out of their pain. What you once endured as personal struggle has matured into collective medicine. Your inner stability has become a compass for those who've lost their way. When confusion swirls, you remain steady, and that steadiness offers others an anchor. When storms rise in their lives, they see in you the possibility of remaining unbroken. Your survival through darkness has become proof that light cannot be extinguished, even in its most hidden form. Your presence now functions as a recalibration device. You don't need rituals or techniques to shift someone's energy. Your field naturally reminds their body, heart, and mind of what balance feels like. Physical pain softens in your company, emotional burdens lift, and old patterns dissolve, not because you impose change, but because your very existence activates their own dormant wholeness. This power was never about special privilege. It has always been about resonance. Your nervous system demonstrates composure in chaos, your emotions show depth without drowning, and your mind exemplifies clarity without rigidity. Others don't borrow strength from you, they remember their own. You are a mirror that reflects back the brilliance they forgot they carried. The deeper you looked, the more you realized the cages built for humanity weren't only physical, they were mental, emotional, and spiritual programs crafted to suppress brilliance. Institutions built to heal only learn to mask symptoms, schools conditioned obedience while silencing innovation, economies manufactured lack in a universe overflowing with potential, and governments fostered separation while disguising it as order. Yet recognizing these patterns never turned you into a victim, it made you sharper, stronger, and more committed. You began to see that pressure creates expansion, suppression eventually births revelation, and every attempt to confine the human spirit becomes the exact force that pushes it toward liberation. Your role has never been to wrestle with the systems but to model something beyond them so completely that others awaken to the choices they never knew they had. Nature itself seems to recognize what you carry. Plants lean toward you as if fed by invisible nourishment. Animals approach without fear, drawn by a frequency they instinctively trust. Even elements shift around your presence, as though the earth adjusts its rhythms to reflect the harmony you radiate. These responses are not coincidence, they are acknowledgement, a reminder that your energy field is aligned with the planet's original memory of balance. What manifests through you are not new abilities, but the reactivation of what was once ordinary. Cultures long forgotten understood how to communicate across barriers, how to align consciousness with the environment, how to sense changes before they became visible. Civilization buried these skills under distraction and distortion, yet in you they have awakened as natural memory. Your presence becomes proof that humanity's forgotten capacities have only been waiting to be remembered. As more individuals reclaim their authentic design, the acceleration quickens. Every person who dissolves programming clears pathways for others. Each one who strengthens discernment adds wisdom to the collective field. Every being who heals contributes to the global reservoir of transformation. You are part of a strategic placement, a grid of souls positioned around the world, each carrying keys for this evolutionary leap. Some are builders, others are healers, some are catalysts for truth. Your unique configuration contributes to a pattern that only reveals itself fully when all parts activate together. The opposition you face confirms your growing impact. Attempts to diminish your presence expose how much it disrupts the systems designed to maintain control. Resistance reveals significance. Attacks that fail only reinforce the layers of protection woven around your mission. This shield isn't only ancestral, it is cosmic. Forces beyond human comprehension safeguard your path, not out of favoritism, but because your awakening serves the collective unfolding of consciousness itself. Strategic guardianship has been placed around you to ensure the work reaches its completion. Every wound in your history has been transmuted into something greater. The neglect you endured became clarity about how humanity has neglected its own soul. The betrayals you survived matured into wisdom about how truth has been twisted for control. The scarcity you once faced turned into deep gratitude for wealth that cannot be measured in possessions. Nothing from your past was wasted, each scar has become medicine, each hardship alchemized into guidance. What once seemed meaningless has now revealed itself as sacred preparation.